Today we are going to start drawing our African mask. You can see we're going to be using tooling foil. However, today we're going to start with paper. Then we will transfer it onto the tooling paper. You will see there's lots of patterns. It is symmetrical, so if you draw a line down the middle, it should be the same on both sides. And we are going to finish it by coloring with Sharpie. Now, at your table, you're going to have a piece of paper, a white plain piece of paper, and you're going to have an inspiration sheet with lots of different kinds of African masks. This sheet is not for you to copy, but to get ideas. So you may want to use, you really like the eyes of this mask, and then you really like the horns of this mask, and so on. You don't want to copy a mask directly. But before we begin, the first thing I want you to do is write your name on the back nice and big. And you can go ahead and flip it over the portrait way. Now the first thing we're going to start with is a shape for our head. As you've seen in the different pictures of African masks, and as you see on the sheet, there's lots of different shapes for a head. We want our masks to be really nice and big. So I'm going to start with a nice big head. And I think for my shape, I'm not going to use any of the ones here, but I'm going to make mine up. Again, it's symmetrical, trying my best, so it's the same on both sides. If I draw a line down the middle, it's the same on both sides, and it's nice and big, taking up lots of space. I do have a little room at the top for horns if I want, or for ears, and some detail at the bottom as well, if I want to add that. Once you have your eyes, I want you to go ahead, or your face, I want you to go ahead and draw your eyes. Again, you could look here for some ideas, or you can make up your own. Pressing lightly at first so it's easier to erase. And then you can press harder once you have the design, once you've got it right. Then you can go ahead and do a nose. I think I'm going to have my nose actually come up a little bit and go down a very long nose. Again, you can use this sheet for ideas, or you can make up your own. Once you're done with your nose, you can do a mouth. Once you have your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and your head, you can go in and start adding lots of different details. So you could add more details around the eyes, you could add patterns. Again, doing your best to keep it symmetrical. Adding lots of different patterns. Taking your time. Once you have lots of details, you can start thinking about if you want horns, or here I added a little detail coming out. I want you to remember, however, we are going to be cutting these out. So I don't want you to do any teeny little details that you wouldn't be able to cut out. So if I wanted to do, I could do maybe a hat. Again, keeping it fairly simple, so it's easier to cut out. But I want you to take up a lot of that paper. Now I think I have lots of unique patterns for my African mask. Once you are done drawing your mask, we are going to now transfer it to tooling foil, which is a little bit thicker than tin foil. And you'll notice that the edges are fairly sharp. So if you're not careful, you could accidentally cut yourself, but if you're being careful and you're being safe and responsible, it should be totally fine. But what you're going to do, you're going to have a piece of tooling foil at your spot. You're going to put it behind your artwork, and you're going to match it up as perfectly as you can. At your spot, you will also get a piece of tape, and you're going to put 2 pieces of tape on the top and the bottom to hold the tooling foil on. So I'm going to make sure it's matched up. Obviously, that's not matched up. That's not matched up. But this looks good. I can see all. It's behind. I'm going to put a tape here, tape it on the back. Again, make sure it's lined up and put another piece of tape on the bottom. As you can see, my artwork is now taped to the tooling foil. Now to transfer it, what we're going to do is we're going to trace over all of our lines. But it's very, very important that we put a magazine behind. If we trace and go right into the table, it's not going to transfer as well. So you're going to put a magazine behind your artwork, and you're going to use a colored pencil. And you want the colored pencil to be in between dull and sharp. You don't want it to be really sharp because it'll break, and you don't want it to be too dull because it won't work. But we're going to use a colored pencil so we know where we have traced. So I'm going to start tracing. Again, the magazine is behind, and I do have to press pretty hard. If your pencil breaks, if your color pencil breaks, that's okay. We'll just sharpen it. Pressing nice and hard. This may hurt your hand. If you need to take breaks, you can. But you'll notice that my design is transferring through. You can see those designs on the back. So every once in a while, as you're working, I want you to turn your artwork over, and if you can see those lines, in the back, that means you're pressing hard enough. You're going to keep going until you have traced all of your pencil lines and all of your details. Once you have done that, I want you to check the back, make sure you've gotten everything, and then you can actually take the paper off and the tape off so that all you have is the foil. And you'll notice that you can see that design. Now it's a little tricky to see, especially in this video, but what we want to do now is to trace it again for a second time. With a pencil or a color pencil, you're going to have the magazine behind, and you're going to go over all your pencil or all those lines again one more time. Again, with either a color pencil or pencil. I think a pencil works a little bit better for this step. I'm going to trace over all those lines, going nice and slow, as you can't erase. We're doing this to make them look deeper and clearer. So go ahead and start tracing all those lines one more time, making sure that you have a magazine behind. If you don't have a magazine behind, it's going to be way more difficult.